network.
Network is on.
Alright, let's go with the TV is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So-
we need this as well now.
Alright, we'll catch up. Let's go.
A very good afternoon to our viewers and welcome to the 1873 TV, your vision, your power, your vision on issues that matter. And one of the issues that we're looking at this afternoon happens to be corporate literacy and your power to inspire new thinking, new outcomes, and more importantly, new possibilities. This afternoon on the 1873 TV, I happen to be joined by Mr. Mutuma Mawere. Mr. Mawere, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
I'm also joined by Mr. Philip here. Mr. Philip, a very good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
And on our Skype line, I happen to be joined by Mr. Rutendo Benson Martinyarare. Mr. Rutendo, a very good afternoon and warm welcome to the 1873 TV.
Good afternoon, Jet.
Yes, so we continue with our conversation, especially on corporate literacy from where we left off yesterday. We've been drawing lessons from the Shabanie, Mashaba, Mines, SMM acquisition, which is rich as far as corporate lessons are concerned. And I must say that many of the issues that we raised yesterday, including myself, I'm one individual who was ignorant about them, but I can safely say that I'm learning each and every day, and my knowledge bank is actually increasing. My balance in my knowledge bank is increasing on a daily basis, and yet this is another beautiful day to also increase that balance in my knowledge bank. And I do hope that the viewers out there who are also tuned in, you are also drawing fundamental lessons as far as corporate literacy is concerned. Just the understanding of what a company is, who is involved in a company. We talk about shareholders, we talk about directors, but how often do we not understand the role that these individuals or actors in these corporations actually play? So in order for us to better understand these issues, Mr. Mawere will also be just helping us, having a better understanding of these issues, as well as Rutendo, and Philip will also share with us some of his life experiences as far as business is concerned.
So I think yesterday we went to a client to talk about these issues, the relationship between men and a company. And most often, I think when we talk about a company, in terms of the friends that you have, how many people actually understand what this animal is? General,
Yes.
I said, how many of your friends do you think fully understand what a company is?
Very few. Like I'm saying to you, that I have four of them.
Yeah.
But with some of the things that we discussed yesterday, a number of things caught me by surprise. Like you made it very interestingly clear that when you are buying a company, you are buying a number of aspects. So as a marketer, I would know that you will probably buy a brand separate to other assets. But you said to me yesterday, you buy shares, which is a right, which are rights into the company or rights into this risk entity, but those rights do not automatically mean the purchase of the assets. Trust me, I think probably most people think that when you buy a company, you are automatically buying the assets.
And also,
right.
I think if we recap, you have a company that two parties have agreed to is worth $60 million.
Yes.
But in terms of control, you transfer the shares at $100. So the money that exchanged hands was only $100. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How many people would understand that? You look at Philip. He has worked his life, and he's now got this company. And then He says, Mawere, I want to retire. And I don't have anyone in my family who can run the business. So I wanted to do a transaction with you where I sell the business to you for 30 million rand. But day one, I give you the right to control the board, to sit on the board. But you pay me my 30 million from the company. If you fail to pay, I will take back the company. How many people understand that?
Very good.
So this is a transaction involving a UK company. That's what we were discussing yesterday.
Yes.
And the UK company has got a subsidiaries in Zimbabwe and one in Zambia. Those companies are owned by two English companies. I approached them. I want to buy the business. They said, okay, give us an offer. I look at the financials of the company. I offer $60 million. Knowing that I don't have any cent myself. So I go to banks and say, please, can you support this acquisition? You give me, you pay the seller 60 million, I will then pay over 5 years from the company cash. The bank says, yes, we like the project, but our problem is that the product that you are selling, it carries with it a risk. So we then take it what? Take it out. I then approach the seller and say, okay, now that we've exhausted all these financing options, if you give me a guarantee that I would, an indemnity, that I will not face, it is asbestos, that I will not be sued, or the company I use will not be sued for environmental damages for 5 years, then I will get the money from the bank on the back of your guarantee. Because the bank is worried about your product. Then we go back and forth, we go to the lawyers. Then I said to the lawyers, we are here, we have agreed on what the transaction should be. Why can't I take control of the company today, so pay you out the money, and then I borrow locally to run the company? They said that makes a lot of sense. How come we didn't think about it? Instead of receiving money today, we receive it in 13 months. So the deal is concluded. Yeah, we finished that. So that's what we're discussing with them. It's like the law of mortgage property. What is a mortgage? I go, you right now, you are saying you are looking for somewhere to stay, to buy. You are paying today X amount. And the same amount you're paying, you could actually be paying towards a title. But right now it's just a renting situation. Then you go to a real estate agent. You find a house. You make an offer to purchase. Let's say for 5 million. Just for interest.
Yes.
They say, okay, what is the loan to value ratio? And the loan to value, it means if the value is 5 million, the bank will only give you 80% of the value. So that's why they call it loan to value ratio, which means 20% becomes your payment. In other cases, if they value the property, and they look at you, they may be able to finance 100% of it. And then you now take, the bank pays who? The seller. And what do you get? Title.
Title, yes.
In whose name is the title?
Might be Philip, might be William.
It's in the name of the purchaser.
The purchaser, yes.
The bank does not take title.
Yes.
The bank says, I register a bond over what? Over the property, which means I cannot transfer the title, I cannot exchange the title without the knowledge of the bank. So it's like an indenture. I put a prohibition against any sale. I can sell the property, but I have to discharge my obligations to the bank. Then I remain with the balance. So this is the transaction, but most people don't understand the law of mortgage property. When it comes to companies, they call it vendor financing. But I think you've heard of what we call deed of sale.
Yes.
Yeah, where the seller actually sells the property, but keeps it. Also registers the bond against the property. So that's what we're discussing yesterday with Rutendo. Yeah, who is on the line. To say, let's broaden this and have it as a literacy. Because most of our businesses, you started as a security guard. At no stage did you prepare yourself to be where you are today. The people who were security guards with you, when they look at you, they get surprised. They say, what happened to you? Because the language you are using and the things that we are talking about are completely different. And yet, in your family, there may not be anybody who can relate to your journey and even understand it. They think it's easy. They see you getting a new contract, they see the contract value, but they don't see you. They don't see you as a what? They don't see you. They don't see you as a person who actually is learning every day.
Yeah.
You see, like Philip called me, I was out of the country. He says, I want to talk to you. And I said, no, I'm back this week.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. But Philip has got a lawyer. We went together to see the lawyer. Is that correct? And you know what we're talking about, Rutendo?
Mm.
We were saying, look, if you look at the security industry in South Africa, it's bigger than the police service.
Correct.
If you look at the transaction that takes place in the name of security, fuel, payroll, uniform, and all these things, and take that economy as one, and you say, who are the parties who are participating in this macro economy? And if you look at the number of people in the industry, have you ever done research on it?
Yes. I had a client that was in the industry, and at that time it was worth about 52 billion rand. But I know for a fact that it's way more than that now.
That's right.
Most of it is controlled by foreign companies.
Now we'll go to the foreign companies since we are introducing that. Then we go to the next step, which is if you look at the employees in the security industry and put them in one box, how big do you think this economy is in terms of headcount?
We're looking at about 500,000, 250,000 related security from the last time I checked.
No, I mean employees.
Employees, you mean including those that are not security staff?
I'm saying the industry as a whole to say these are the people I can call the security economy.
Mm-hmm.
How big do you think it is?
Yeah, like I was saying, about 250 employees.
It's a more than
250,000 employees.
there are almost 700,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at G4 security alone, it employs about 600,000.
Right.
Yeah. So look at this economy now. Then you say 23 years of democracy. There is no face of it. Who is black? If we wanted to create a president of security, who may be potentially the minister of security, because when we appoint minister of security, we expect that the minister actually knows something about security.
Mm-hmm.
So from our community, we want to build a community state, a community approach. You find that actually there is no voice. If a young man wanted to be like Philip here, how do we know the story of Philip without him telling it? There are no textbooks at all. But his journey started after 94, is that correct? Yeah. He was a security guard when Mandela was inaugurated. Yeah?
Yeah, when Mandela was released in
1990.
1990, I was still a security agent.
He was a security guard when Mandela was released.
I resigned from ESCOM in 2003.
He only resigned in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Then all the things that he has done, there's no white monopoly. He has no personal recollection of a white person saying you can't do this, and he believed it.
Actually, they've tried. I mean, the credibility guy phoned me when I got ESCOM 10 that they wanted to buy my company.
It is to buy,
Yeah.
because they've seen you are creative. Yeah.
Keep me as a marketing
As a marketing guy.
Yeah. I refused.
Yeah. So they only made an overture to him to say, if you can't beat him, co-opt him. So the security industry were talking then to say, why can't we have G60 what? G67 instead of G4. You know where the 67 is?
Mm-hmm.
That's Mandela's service, which is 67 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So we take 67 companies and group them together.
Mm-hmm.
So that we optimize on fuel purchase, we optimize on uniforms, we optimize on training, we optimize on marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the rest, whether I'm guarding this building or another building, is the same human being. So we create a security bank, which is what SMM became in Zimbabwe. Do you see the difference? SMM was converted into First Bank, was converted into Zimuri, into CFI, into Schweppes, into Midsec Security, Kingston Books, converted into FSI Logistics, converted into FSI Becom, converted into 26 companies. Were you aware of that?
This was with you or
with me, after taking over, created First Bank in 97.
Right.
Listed Tenol and Tube and Pipe and called TH Zimbabwe Limited. Then unbundled the companies to form 3 companies: General Belting, Stillnet, and Tenol.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see the companies as we go along, what the government took over from what I acquired.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So from one idea, we were able to populate the idea. We started with about 8,000 employees. When the company took control of the company, with 20,000 employees. So a net increase of 12,000 employees. All
You
the
said how many?
8,000.
Okay.
And ended up.
No. Let's go back a bit. I'm a bit confused. In my mind, SMM, right?
Yeah.
Was two mines.
Was two mines, yeah, Shabanie and Mashaba.
Where were those other ones you're talking about? Tenno and
Tenno, they were the industrial companies. You remember there were two companies, THZ Holdings, which owned TH Zimbabwe.
Yes.
TH Zimbabwe was the shareholder of the industrial companies.
Mm-hmm.
The two, with the tube and pipe,
Mm-hmm.
and Tenno fiber cement.
Wow.
So Tenno would buy the fiber, convert it into roofing sheets and pipes.
Mm-hmm.
So those were the three companies that the mines, the two industrial companies.
Mm-hmm.
Then in addition to that, we then had the TAP Zambia, which was almost doing the same as what? Doing the same business as Tenno, but in Zambia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Then when the exchange control problems began, it became necessary to diversify, because when you are exporting 95% of your product, it means you are caught in the exchange rate.
Were you just exporting asbestos only, or were you also exporting industrial products?
Industrial product, but under Tenno,
Mm-hmm.
then asbestos fiber in fiber form.
Separate products.
A separate product. That one went through MMCZ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are the two. Then from there, we then diversified.
You put in a bank.
The first bank, because we're tired of going to the bank, making applications, and being told a lot of stories.
The capital for the bank, talk to me about that.
The capital from the bank came from the mines.
After how long of operations?
It's what, 2 years? 2 years.
So that's about
97.
97.
I acquired in 96. It's 1 year.
That's actually
1 year. So you may be aware that I was going around. I went to the United States, South Africa, Botswana, promoting the setting up of a bank. To say, if you are angry with Standard Bank, don't take Standard Bank. If you are angry with Barclays Bank, don't take over, but set up a new institution. That's why we call it first bank, where the shareholder is not a director. So I was never a director of the company. Because all the other banks, if you look at all the indigenization, if you look at NMB, the shareholders were executives. If you look at Trust Bank, the shareholders were executives. Heritage Bank, Universal Merchant Bank, Focus Bank, African, even Tank Bank, Econet Strive was an executive.
Is that a good or bad thing?
I said, you must prepare for your death. So it is the first bank that up to now is still operating, which is about 20 years today.
Is first bank still operating?
First Bank is still operating.
Now, Mr. Mawere, what?
Yeah.
Explain to me how a small little country like Zimbabwe was able to have people like yourself creating banks as quickly as it did, but yet South Africa is struggling to have.
It's not a country that enables you. I think Philip will tell you. South Africa is neutral. It has nothing to do with this movement from a security guard. One day he just became angry. He said, but I can see money going. and people are driving in and out, and I'm guarding them. And say, please return them. I can also do it. Then he sees a tender, everyone is telling him there's a tender now. Then he says, the only way I can win it is for me to what? To live. And he put a bid and he switched off these colleagues and said, hey, can we also do something? Can you give me a contract? And I will prove you right. I don't have a balance sheet, I don't have anything. But all I have, I know how to guard. I know I got the mind. I got everything that is required in me, but not in a separate balance sheet. And I believed him. And that's his story. The same thing you were asking yesterday. How come people believed you? He had nothing. I think when you left, you may be what? You may have been 1, 2 months or 3 months from disaster.
I did not have anything when I left Eskom.
Yeah.
For the first month, the third month, I was struggling.
Yeah.
Until I get paid for the previous month and make sure that I settled my people.
Yeah.
And then from
then things stabilize.
Yeah.
So this is the story of people bending the rule, bending. They look at him and they see the only thing they can see is he wants to get something. It shows in him that this is all he's got. And if he fails, he still come back as a security guard. But he's not looking back. He's just saying, I want to go forward. So this is the thing, Lieutenant. There are a lot of stories like him. All I did was that all these stories I said come under SMM so that I don't have to confuse you. So the people who sold their business said continue to work there. Because I don't want to compete with you. The moment I want to be CEO, then it means I have other things that I can't do. So I can't be everything. I can't sit on the board, sit at the mine, sit at this. Imagine I got 26 companies. How do I survive? And I have to know 20,000 employees. How I get surprised when somebody says, Mawere, I used to work for you. I said, oh, that's good. There's nothing I can say, but I can't upset the person and say, but you're lying. So this is the bank then is set up. And we are saying the bank must be able to do things differently. So we started leasing company, taking all the assets, movable assets that were owned by all these different companies and put them into one vehicle. Then looked for funding to buy them out. So that released cash. And then we paid over 5 years. So from a tax efficiency point of view, debt is cheaper than equity. You know that?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is now to start leveraging. Then we said, well, what about insurance? Why can't we get ourselves to pull our assets and insure with one? Then we bought a small company called Diamond Insurance. That's now called Nikos Diamond when we listed it. Then we bought, when they privatized Zimri, we bid for the shares and we became the minority shareholder of Zimri. Then increased our shareholding to more than 51%. Then
At this time, what kind of agreements were you using to buy your shares? Were you buying them cash? What were you using?
cash. Paid the government the money as a shareholder, and we got the shares.
Good. Okay.
And then we split Zimri into reinsurance, short-term, life, and asset management. And then also medical aid, insurance. So we then listed Fidelity, listed Nikos Diamond. This is happening after government. Zimri was dead. So we gave life into it. Then through Fidelity Asset Management, we bought Flam. We bought Schweppes.
Through what?
We bought Schweppes, Zimbabwe.
You said you bought it through what?
Fidelity Asset Management, Flam. And then we bought into CFI. Remember, CFI was.
How much Schweppes did you buy?
Which one? It was 100% for $100. The same structure we used for TNA. I was able to convince Coca-Cola that was no their interest to sell the business to me because
Why were all these people interested in selling?
No, you see, when you are looking at, they were looking at moving from the glass bottles. Remember, there was always juices,
Yes.
and the plastic one to PET, new technology. So what I said to them is, you sell the business, then I will invest in the new technology.
So you were willing to invest in
First, I take control of the company, use the company to raise money, and then I invest. But I couldn't do that without changing ownership. Yeah. Then CFI, we bought cash.
Who's CFI?
You see, you remember Pharmascope, which was then listed as CFI. Town and country, Victoria Mini.
I didn't know it was called the CFI.
Yeah, it's, the Crest Breeders and Suncrest. Yeah.
Now, where are you acquiring all these things?
In Zimbabwe, but you are accusing me of taking money out. Because so when you are talking on the video and they are attacking me, I just say, I just pray for you.
I'm going to get worse. I'm going to say I didn't know that he was that much of an thief. It's worse than I thought.
No, you see,
I can hear the witchcraft that was taking place. Like you said, superstition. You can hear
you see, when we are looking at the people, you see, you can grow from this to that.
But let me ask you a question before we go on.
Okay.
So, at no point in these transactions did your blackness, did your Zimbabweanness, did your, let's call them not BE credentials, but indigenous credentials play a part?
No, in fact, the people first to attack me were the indigenous people to say Mawere is not one of us. Remember Chianga Pamire?
Yeah.
They were saying Mawere is based in South Africa. How come he's not? Yeah, he is. That's why his company is called Native Africa Investments Limited. You remember? Because you are saying Africa Resources is like a foreigner.
Why is it that these
kind of picture is only painted now when we're having a discussion like this. Why have you not put it and
I can show you videos, 96 when I brought Chiangwa, Makamba. It is even on my, I was trying to say, guys, be corporate. Don't fight anyone. There is a lot to eat. Why do you spend your time fighting against somebody? Even against what? It's not necessary. Because if I give you a company and it doesn't run, it's like husband and wife. You are married. The wife does not understand what it takes to run the business. You divorce today. She says, I want 50%. Then you say, take it. In fact, take 100%. You wake up in the morning. The people you thought they loved you, they tell you, Madam, we want a salary increase. Because they were afraid of your husband. Now, the lines of credit get cut because there's a change of control. Because they know the person. When you look at Philip, the fact that he was a security guard is a big plus. Because people can trace where he came from. And they can say he knows what he's doing. He's just multiplying the number of people in contracts. But he cannot be bullshitted by anyone about the security, even a tender. While he's sleeping, he can come up with the numbers. Because it's in him. It's no longer something that I can imagine. So people don't understand that. That's why when you say the camera was placed under reconstruction, somebody was asking, I said it has to fail. If I steal a car, it will break down anyway. When it breaks down, it won't move. Not because of anything. Because people think it's so easy that I can remove white. In fact, I'll take a shotgun and just say, shoot them. Then the next day, I have to get lines of credit, people telling you, rejecting you, people telling you, my friend, if you don't pay up front, we're not going to supply. And all these problems come on you. You employ somebody, say an MBA or a PhD, they can't make the decisions. You say sit on the board, they still can't say, but how do you preside over a company? Then you are asking whether I should buy a Toyota Cressida or a BMW. Huh? Imagine I have to listen to all those things. Then I have to pray to God for more time. So running a business is not easy. So we brought this IPO, AAG, IBDC members to say, come to South Africa, ESCOM House. Let's learn together what BEE is. Because in South Africa, they came with the black economic empowerment. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Then I then assisted the committee chaired by Mnangagwa to advise them on how to localize companies. I said, mine I've bought for it. I had to negotiate. But why don't you negotiate? Why don't you create a structure to negotiate with these companies, not to fight them? That's how ABC Bank was born. You know that? That's how Bindura Nickel Corporation. Remember, there was 22% of the shares that was sold by Anglo.
Mm-hmm.
And that was part of the localization. And I was the chief negotiator with the Anglo-American, with Nick Oppenheimer. We agreed and said, it's important to build a class of people who can what? Who can have a stake in the economy. And they said, no, Mama, we understand that. Anglo even agreed to say, Southampton, you remember it was Southampton, it was owned by Anglo-American.
Mm-hmm.
That was then sold to Mingra as part of this arrangement. Heritage Bank then reversed into a First Merchant Bank. which was, and UDC. Yeah.
What was UDC, by the way?
UDC was the leasing company. Yeah.
For vehicles, houses,
For vehicles, short-term assets. Yeah.
short-term assets.
Yeah.
So what you're basically telling me is that you know how the structure, you were part and parcel of how the whole entire structure of digitalization was taking place in Zimbabwe.
There was no structure. My problem is there was no structure, and that's what I'm saying to the people in Zimbabwe. Put a structure, and you can achieve that. But you are not going to make an industrialist or a businessman out of a pedestrian. Don't assume that people, because they have education, they are literate financially. So it's not easy. So we need to have literacy. That's why I was on TV. That's why I bought airtime. You may know about the NDA to say, while we're talking about constitutional changes, constitutional agitation, let's talk about economic development. We call it National Development Assembly. And I said, if there was any investment I can make, is for us to talk openly about business. Because there's an assumption that whites were connected with colonialism, and that's why they succeeded. And if it was correct, when you remove a colonial government, they must collapse.
No, but that's not true. That's not true, because if you've accumulated capital, you won't collapse, because you've already got the factors that allow you to make more money. So that is a simplistic perspective.
No, I'm saying is that from my experience, having worked in a development finance institution, and just looked at the observation, I have looked at people who came with no balance sheet from Israel, arrived in Zimbabwe. Within 5 years, they say, I'm a millionaire. I have found Indians who left India with nothing, just selling vehicles. And over time, I find the guy is actually lending money to the Reserve Bank.
Yeah, but I find it weird that you would say that a person would come with no cent in their pocket, but how did they come?
No, they came in with no asset. They see an opportunity, and they say, okay, guys, if I can get a security business from you. Like, remember, I was talking to you, I said, let's start a new mutual. You know that? About 2 years ago. And I said, okay, Philip, how much are you paying per month insurance?
Yeah.
How much?
By then it was, I think, 69,000.
Yeah. So I said, okay, if we group all our insurance together, there is no white person who can stop us, because I make a decision, you make a decision, Tinashe makes a decision, Fred makes a decision. If four of us make a decision, the next thing is the people who believe in Philip will follow him. As long as we are giving him value, they will follow. But if we don't, I set up first bank from zero. I went to America to buy servers, go to San Francisco to Sun Microsystem to buy computers. And British Airways, they said, no, this is not, this never happened. 60 computers, says a passenger. Says, my friend, you allowed 2 pieces. I said, okay, just multiply and by what? By 10.
But the good thing is you have the money to go and start. You have the money to start.
No, I'm saying is the story comes from trust. I get to a company, I tell them, guys, I don't have money to buy. But what I know is if you give me this opportunity, I can do what I need to do. And I'll pay you back. I'm not I don't need money for my food.
So let me tell you where the challenge is here, Mr. Mawere.
Yeah.
I hear the brilliant story that you're saying. I understand what you're talking about, but let me tell you where the perception starts to say Mawere is being disingenuous.
Okay.
People say that you're being disingenuous. Now, I'm not saying you're being disingenuous. I'm saying people assume you're being disingenuous in the aspect that, number one, from the first moment that you came in to start talking to your first client, when you made that offer, people are already saying the winds of change were already happening in Zimbabwe. The talk of the fact that the government of Zimbabwe wanted to indigenise the economy had been happening for a very long time. And so some of these deals were acquired because these white men needed an exit. But within that exit, they needed an exit that had a black Zimbabwean who was competent enough to be able to make money for their exit to not be so painful, so that they could have a payment for their assets that they were going to be leaving, or at least have a payment for giving you control of these organizations. So they say that anyone, Mawere or Masiwa, who would say, I did it by myself, not because of government, would be being disingenuous, because when a Mawere who's never been in mining comes to a person who's been in mining since 1908 and says, give me your company, I will run it, I will do it better than you. And these people believe that a person with no experience in an area where they've got 80 years experience has got a chance to come and do a better job than them. Doesn't make sense. So they only gave Mawere an opportunity because Mawere was number one black, but Mawere was smart, and he was the best person within the environment of these indigenous people to take them and give them an exit out of their responsibility or an exit out of their rights in a better way than losing the company at the end of the day after some years.
No, I'm just saying is that you can say a life is about somebody opening a door, but sometimes even luck, chance, and you may say that the winds of change, but I guess there are people who have stayed in Zimbabwe and they're still in control. You may find Mikos is still in the Mikos family. You may find that Isco is in the White Hands. I'm saying it's not that automatic that a person who has got his own company would come to a conclusion that this is a deal or not. You may say that, oh, women must be married, and that's a wind of change, that everyone is married. But that doesn't mean every woman has to be married. And that marriage, no, I'm just, yeah, so it would be simplistic to say, I take Philip's story and they say, yeah, you succeeded because you are black. Then I would be diminishing his own a sense of purpose, sense of causation, and his only power to be the agent of the choices he made. That when the moment he decided to leave his formal employment, it was a turning point for him.
But let me give you an example like myself.
Yeah.
When you see a situation where when I came to South Africa, I started a number of companies, but right now in my marketing and branding consultancy business, it was a 100% black-owned Zimbabwean-owned business. But the winds of change started to say, listen here, my brother, we're not going to give you any more business just in Zimbabwe because we don't want to work with Zimbabweans alone. Zimbabweans do not give us any VE credentials. A Zimbabwean is sometimes worse off than a white man, so you're going to have to transform your company. And when we say transform your company, is get a black South African, give him 51% shares, and in a best case scenario, get a black woman or a black disabled person and put them to come in with you with a 51% shareholding. We tried to avoid that for a while, stopped getting business. And this was from private sector. I never did any real company business. Even till today, with the 51% South African partner, we don't get government business because of the nature of decision making and the nature of some of the ways that those decisions are reached. Right? So someone would say that in as much as I wanted to handle this company alone, in as much as I wanted to handle this company as Zimbabwean, I was put in a situation where I could no longer run that company as Zimbabwean alone. And the South African partner who came in to join me is a person who was in the right place at the right time to get shares in a company in which they hadn't really built or put any effort to build. How do we look at that in comparison with what we're talking about?
Okay, so if you look at a business, it's like a child. You have sex, you produce a child. That's the beginning of your nightmare. You have to support. You have to pay. a company can, even with a black, I take a black frog and give me ID number. I say you are now my 51% partner. And then what? Because shares don't perform. The people who pay for the service may not be inclined to pay just because you are 51%. It doesn't end there. I may have the opportunity, but if I deliver a substandard product, the relationship ends. For example, I had a friend who came 2 weeks ago, he got 1.2 million for media work. And then the client, then he comes to me and says, no, I've got a problem. What do I do? I said, but what is the problem? I found the lawyer. The lawyer says, this man, I don't know how he gave him 1.2 million, right? But the work that he did, the website, is not even worth 100,000. So I had to get him out of what? A claim. So I started negotiating. He is black, but at the same time, it doesn't change anything. So that's what we're trying to do this show, to help. There are people in government who think enterprise is about mandates, about dictates. Give someone 51% shares, then the rest is okay. But if the quality of the tomatoes on your shelf are not good, I can't cause a customer who may also be black to buy.
Yeah, but I like what you're saying. On theory, it makes sense. But we have seen, I'm in an industry where we are sometimes overlooked, particularly in white corporates. Not because the person that you're being overlooked for is a better person in delivering a service, but they are pathetic, but because they are white, they get the job. We have a situation where we took a client, Cricket South Africa, from Ogilvy. Ogilvy were doing a pathetic job with Cricket South Africa. They were behind schedule on a group of adverts that they had to do just before the flighting of India and South Africa. And then eventually they had to come to us because we were the only people who said we can give them a 24-hour turnaround.
Yeah.
We turned around that project, we did a brilliant job. And after we did that brilliant job, the people who are in South Africa were not happy that a black company was given this job.
Yeah.
And so what they did is they replaced this woman who gave us the work with a white person who was then became our new contact. The moment the white person was put there, we no longer got that business. They brought in a white agency to take the job. It had nothing to do with merit. It had nothing to do with the past record because we had done a better job than all other agencies had done until that time. The color issue was an issue.
No, I'm saying I cannot deny what you are saying, but all I can say is that the biggest challenge we face is that we may end up generalizing about real life stories.
But remember, like you have been telling us an experience of the gentleman you're sitting with.
Yeah, he's here.
And the experience that he's gone through is experience enough to build a record. What you also need to remember is I've been in business for 15 years. I have got experiences that are enough for me to build a record. And it's not storytelling, it's not just generalizing. I can give you so many examples. You know a company called UBS. They create a lot of the content that is on DSTV, Urban Brew Studios. We had the same issue. We came in there, we did 2 websites, including the Urban Brew Studio website, having taken those accounts from white people who were doing those jobs. But when the CEO who had been approving all our work and liked our work left, a new person came in. That person was immediately not happy that there was a black company responsible for doing websites for UBS. And they took down a website we had done that had passed all the processes that had been made everybody happy in the organization that we had done after a white company had failed and it was approved by the board. She took it down because she wasn't happy with it because it was a black company. This is not something I'm telling you from my perception, but things that were said by the members of the board that were
I cannot dispute that's why I was saying he can only talk about his experiences. I can talk about my experiences. And I think we can't go beyond that and say...
We can't go beyond that, but we can challenge this perception that race is not an issue.
No, I didn't
Yes,
say.
yes.
I didn't say. I said in my case, if I took race as a performance barometer, then I took work only not to perform it. What I've seen is people won't pay. Imagine I take asbestos to Japan, and then I don't pay for it. I know the quality is substandard. I don't expect the Japanese to pay. They will just say, my friend, I don't care whether the shares are held by you or by another party. What I pay for is the product that has arrived. If it doesn't meet my standard, then you are asking me to pay for something I cannot use. So give me something I need, and I'll pay for it. But don't tell me about your politics or what of ownership, because it's irrelevant to me. What I have is money. What you have is the product. If the two cannot talk to each other, I don't think I have any reason to dislike you or like you. That's the end of the story. And there's nothing I can do. But I can't say that prejudice, even dislike between black and black. There are areas where black purchase orders are tainted with a lot of problems. They'll say to Philip, I give you, but give me a kickback. I do this. It's not liking him. There are a lot of stories that you can tell, black versus black. It's not all rosy.
Yeah, but that black situation has been created by a system that was started and initiated by the very same white people that we try to make
No, I can blame it on what,
and not only that.
Yeah,
Not only that, when we take resources, a lot of the prices of these very same resources that we are taking overseas to Japan or to America or to England have got prices that have been determined by people that were not black, prices that are being created by cartels that are giving prices that have nothing to do with the production cost or the value of the product. But we pretend that we don't know that when it's convenient for us.
No, I think Philip will just hijacked him. But I'm saying is the issue that is there. We can't argue over facts that I cannot argue over facts that are not known to me. And I can only talk about what I see in business, that people generally will not pay for no value.
And we will also not pay where there's value because the value is coming from the wrong place.
No, it's already been after the purchase order is no color. No. When I get it, they don't know which resources I'm going to use to execute. It's only when I perform that they will pay me. In the course of performance, whether the shares are held there in ABSA, are held by a blind person, by one who sees, it's irrelevant. But if the service is delivered, they will pay for the service, not the shareholder. But
how do you get to be a supplier of that ABSA? But the thing is, half the time we're contesting things that are written on paper, things that are not contestable because they're already put down as facts in books, in memos, in documentation that already states what certain economies are like, how the procurement is done, and the aspect of race being used as a parameter for doing business. It's no longer contestable. It's written down. It's in books. The books written by the very same white people, how they operated in business, in memos, in all sorts of documentation that has proved that it's no longer a figment of our imagination. It's real. There are books on the Brotherhood that say it's real. There are books about how the South African economy is run and how Afrikaners run it, how the English run it. It's real. How can we continue to refuse that reality?
I don't know whether maybe before we, do you have any comment? I think you hear the point he's making.
No, I mean, I can hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I mean, in South Africa, most of the things, I mean, it's a new democracy that, I mean, we are still learning. As we have said initially with regard to our business, there's still a lot of things that we're learning.
Yeah.
And we just accept ourselves to say that as long as I can bring bread on the table. But on how the entire business operates, really, we are still a little bit away from that. You understand?
Yeah.
So that is the most important thing. you have gone deeper, you have experienced a lot of, various businesses, how they operate. But they do not differ from what, we are doing currently. Some of us don't understand at all.
Yeah.
The concept of business. I've never been to the school, to be taught on how to run the business, you understand? But little that I've picked up while I was still working for ESCOM, then is what I'm applying in my business.
And if your cost exceeds your revenue, you're out anyway.
Yes.
Whether you have a PhD, you have nothing. And it's a very simple formula.
Yeah.
I must keep my cost below what I get. I must pay my bills. After that, if the profit is not even cash, it's not money in the bank. It's just a record. Actually, the money sometimes they are on overdraft, but the books show that you are making a profit, which is not true. So, it's not. We don't have all we're saying is let's have business people who share experiences, and let's create a platform for sharing experiences rather than for us to say we know it all. Because even among white people, there are challenges that they face. Among black people, it's not one size fits all. There are blacks who have been given big contracts but failed to deliver even 1 cent. And the blacks who have been given contracts even with no trust but ended up delivering a contract year after year. So when we say 2003 to 2017, how many years? Without a salary. And every day you have to struggle. And you think you have arrived at some destination, then you discover the more you are growing, the more the company needs cash. The more you need other people. So in business, it's not that easy for somebody to say, I'm black. I know there are areas where we actually need whites.
Let me tell you where one of our biggest problems, Mr. Mawere, a discussion that is had by those that have not so much money, okay, particularly black businesses.
Okay.
Where they have an issue with the Maweres,
okay,
with the Makambas, is they feel that the Maweres and the Makambas, unlike white business, who acknowledges whiteness, who acknowledges the need to grow one another, who acknowledges the need to grow the race, the Makambas and the black business people that have made it fail to acknowledge the racial issue and the racial division in business that every other race knows. The Japanese knows to support the Japanese, the Indian knows to support the Indian, the white knows to support the white, the Jewish knows to support the Jewish. They know how to circulate money among themselves before they start talking about going international. They do go international, they do business with other races, but only after they've exhausted doing business among themselves. Now, the indictment comes where people are saying, the Maweres, the Makambas, the Masiwas, who are our black businesses in the Zimbabwe context, who are our Bill Gates, they don't acknowledge the aspects that we've got to build a black economy before we start just talking about globalization and going international. They don't develop the young black businesses. They don't feed back into the black business to give it an opportunity to grow up the experience curve and to become as good as the white one. They don't understand that even these white ones, when they start in our industry, like we are in marketing and advertising, they give businesses that are incompetent work, and they keep giving them work, and these people improve, they begin to earn more money, they begin to get more skills, they begin to employ more people, and eventually they overtake us because they not only become more competent because of the skills that they've acquired, but they were supported enough to generate enough income to grow into very big, competent businesses. Our black business people don't understand that dynamic. That's where you hear the criticisms, where the people start saying, but the Maweres were given opportunity. The Maweres were given policies that allowed them to get into the position that they got and take advantage of their intelligence to prosper. But why is it that they don't create the opportunity for upcoming generations and other people of their own race to ensure that they become more and to ensure that we grow the economy better and we create more black people and a bigger economy that can make money to sustain and grow into the future.
So I don't know whether you have a comment on that.
Aaron, I mean, what I can say currently,
Yeah.
based on the topic that we are in,
Yeah.
and based on what you are doing,
Yeah.
it shows that you are busy. I mean, like this, I mean, guys setting up all these things.
Yeah.
It's not for awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's for people
People.
or young guys that are coming up with ideas. You are just driving it.
A facilitator.
Facility, yeah, you're like a facilitator.
I can't do the work they do.
Yes.
And with the moment, you see, the moment we move away from value to rest, then something goes wrong somewhere. Because I want to pay for something. Right now, I'm using this computer, this phone. It's called Samsung. I don't even know what Samsung means.
Yeah.
But I bought it willingly because I want to use it, and I'm using it. But I would hate somebody to say, buy something else because this is good for us.
Yeah.
But he's not speaking to me. If you want right now, if Philip wanted to buy a Maserati, surely do I lose anything if you buy it, you can afford it?
But Mr. Mawere, that's where you're losing it. Do you think Samsung would be here today if people who had bought computers then had decided to buy the best on the market instead of supporting a Korean product? Samsung wouldn't be here.
I'm saying it's not.
Today, Tata has now bought a Jaguar. Tata has now bought a Range Rover and Land Rover. Why? Because Tata was not the best car on the market in India. But the Indians understood the theory of economics that's called the flying goose effect. They supported it, as inferior as it was. They understood that they've got to build it to become.
I'm saying is the things that we can build together, but also I would hate for Tata to then produce a mediocre car and force the people to say, because I want to build an Indian industrialist, buy this or buy that. Or the point I'm making is that Samsung is a good product. Nokia, it
wasn't always a good product.
No, I'm saying Nokia. I'm saying, but I don't have to pay the school fees. I'm only paying for the product.
That's the discussion.
I'm only paying for this unit. I don't pay for Samsung to get its act in order. When they went,
how did it get its act in order?
That's not my problem per se, because it's okay.
For the black businessman, he thinks like that. He thinks of buying things at the top of the curve, but does not understand the responsibility of building things from the bottom of the curve.
No.
And yet we feel that for you to have gotten some of these companies you got, you were not the most experienced person. You were not the best person to sell the company to. But there was a reason why it was sold to you.
I'm saying is right now he's a businessman. He's talking to me. He's talking to Nashi. There's no white person here. How did we get to me? We're here. It would be tragic if we fail to solve problems when we come together. There are things we can solve so that we all save the market. We all save the customer. At the end of the day, there is no value for us to talk to each other if at the end of the day we sacrifice the market on the basis of race.
But the reason we're also having this discussion is to build each other's thinking. Every day we read books and we hear Europeans, Japanese, Chinese saying that the reason that the African does not improve, the reason that Africa continues to be the bottom of the barrel continent, is because its people don't know how to collaborate among each other. It is because its people do not share wealth. Because its people do not develop each other. Now, when I'm sitting with Mawere and I'm saying, Mr. Mawere, this lack of development that we're discussing is this notion that you run to buy the best in Europe without understanding that it is up to us to create our own industries by supporting them, not because they are the best in the world, but because we are building the best in the world. We need to understand that a child is born, he learns to walk. We cannot say, no, my child is 2 years old, but he can't run. So I'm going to want that child from next door who's 21, who's already sprinting. I want that Usain Bolt because he can already. No, you need to be patient enough to nurture your child, to nurture your companies, to nurture your entrepreneurs, to build their inferior product into the best in the world. You've got to give them that financial support. You've got to give them that market. You've got to give them that feedback. But that's not what we're doing in Africa. That's why for 60 years we've been independent. But we haven't built industries. We haven't built innovation because we don't support each other. We don't go up a learning curve. We do not allow each other to make mistakes, learn from lessons, and create our own. We are dependent on using other people's superior products while killing our ability to learn to create superior products. But who are we emulating? Because the Japanese started from the very bad products and they built them into good products because of support. The Indians built very bad products, but they built them over time because they were supported to learn, research, develop, and become better. Why is the African unable to do that? Why is the African businessman and entrepreneur unable to understand the logic of building these companies and building this inferiority into superiority?
Rutendo, if you could just elaborate what you mean when you say shared wealth or to share wealth.
To share wealth?
Yes.
To share wealth, for me, wealth is a number of issues, a number of things. It's ideas, it is thoughts, it is innovations, it is money, it is wealth, it is resources, it is support. So when we share wealth, we are sharing that. Like for instance, I'm saying now, I've got products that I buy that are not necessarily great, but I'm supporting through my wealth somebody else who's trying to come up. So I believe that's what we talk about. I say,
And I think, Oscar, do you have any comment about what he's saying?
I think the whole idea is of all this thing is to equip an individual to become a better person first. Because remember that example that you gave. Imagine a world without the rich, would the poor be better for it? So there are people who need motivation, and the moment you look at someone who's at the top, you get inspired that, okay, this individual came to planet Earth without anything, and they managed to find their way up the ladder. So if it's the same idea and the same principle that took that individual up there, we want to do away with an element of dependence on certain individuals. Because there are people who actually literally become comfortable. And there are other people who also need assistance. But as you need assistance, and as you're going to be assisted by someone else, where are you standing from? What value do you have that someone is going to say, okay, this is how I'm going to assist you? So I think the root of all this is to say, not to penalize people who have made it, but let's look for a way that we can use so that we help those people who are in need to become better equipped. Because you can give someone fish today, and then tomorrow they'll come back to you. But if we invest in teaching people how to fish, just like what we're doing, this dialogue is very important because it opens up someone's reasoning and perspective towards life. Even how you are unpacking, how you manage to acquire SMM. Even myself, I'm starting to understand, okay, this is how you also get to invest when you get money, in terms of buying shares and buying properties, which most people do not understand. Some people are getting salaries at work, but they're not able to maximize on the little that they get and invest using those things. So it's important, the discussions that you're having, the two of you, it's actually even helping us to understand the type of world that we're living in and how best we can secure a better tomorrow using both examples.
So, what do you think?
I get you, but I think we're still skating from the discussion that I wanted to have.
Okay.
The discussion where we're trying to explain to you where the disconnect between development in Africa and the development of ourselves, that missing link where certain people in our society don't understand that they have a responsibility to develop the ones that are coming behind them if we're actually going to. I'll give you an example of Henry Ford. Henry Ford created a car manufacturing industry by having what was called the Ford diesel concept. I'm going to pay my people as best as I can so that they can be the biggest customers of my car. What that concept said to Americans is that we've got to be able to pay those that have less than us more for them to become our customers, for us to have more money so that we can have more money to innovate and create better products and prosper more. And that concept allowed America to overtake Europe between 1990 and 1920. Europeans were elites, they didn't spread the wealth. They did not develop other people beyond their class and their caste. They continued to have money that was sitting at the top. And from being the richest continent, being the richest people in the world, in 20 years they were overtaken by a country which they were lending money. They were lending money to the Henry Fords and the Carnegies, but those people overtook them because they spread the wealth a bit more. What we are having, and this is the problem that we're having in Africa, is that we are not spreading the wealth. The black entrepreneur, the black rich, don't understand the importance of spreading their wealth, spreading their support, spreading their ideas, spreading their ability to raise other innovative people in the community to grow the money so that it can spread and make everybody richer at the end of the day. And now the gentleman that's sitting next to you said to me, he started a security company from nothing. The truth of the matter is that when he got his first contract, he was not the best security person in the industry. He was not the most equipped in the security company in the industry. There were American companies that had more tools, that had better training, but somebody believed in him and gave him an opportunity. That's why today he employs 2,000 people. It's that giving opportunity. But now, giving from a racial perspective, when we as black people say, I'm going to develop another black person to become better, so that we can grow, so that we can have more black people, so that we can support each other more, so that we can improve and grow our nations. If that's not what's happening, a guy who has been given an opportunity will not give opportunities to other people who come after him when he's rich. We need to change that mentality.
So from what you're saying, you're simply saying that we need to invest more in our motherland.
We need to invest more in the race. Let's not talk motherland. Let's talk the race. Let's invest more in each other. Because right now we still have a situation
Dutendo, I understand what you are saying with regard to trying to empower our fellow brothers. But I don't know whether you have tried that on yourself. I mean, to empower certain people and see what they are doing. These people, when you start to bring that in place, they are like, I mean, in South Africa, the current government has got a problem of this, what do they call this scheme that they're giving for housing, the RDP houses, free of charge and all those things. So when we start, I've tried it 3 times and I failed. Because when I start that, a person relax, sit back, and he doesn't contribute anything. He or she wanted me to put a lot of effort to do the marketing on a business. And I mean, look, I'm running a business. I've got a business that I've got to look at, and I'm saying I'm empowering you. This is what we have to do. And there are people that I'm paying. I am paying him and him, that particular person, or I mean a lady, but they don't perform. So really, I understand, yes, you want, we can share it with our fellow brothers. But there are some people that are committed, there are some people that are not committed. So what do? At the end of the day, they come back, and the people that have faith have got big mouth, more than the person that has got money. And people will listen, to those people. And
what you're saying, sir, it's true. I like the fact that you're saying that we need to empower each other. I don't know if you would use the term empowerment, but but for conversation's sake, since it's the term, that's the term that is coming up.
Yeah.
I would say, okay, let's just do a check and see how many black people. Okay, we are using the color. How many black people are living an extravagant, or living above their means? if you give more right now, even if it comes to my age, some of the guys of my age, 27, 25, they invest more in what they wear and the fancy phones that they have. But look at where he's coming from.
Yes.
Someone, that money that he has used, about 500 US dollars to buy an iPhone, someone, it's enough capital for them to start a business that will generate more money for them. So what we are simply saying is, it's good that you're advocating for Africa to become a better place, but we need to also invest more in equipping people, imparting knowledge, that when you get money, what is it that you're going to do with it? Because you can be given money today, and by the end of the day, it's lost. It's only for a few individuals like you who are learned and who have that zeal and that passion to learn about a lot of things. And you read, I can tell from the conversation that you're having, that you're someone who study. And how many of us want to read? And how many of us want to learn the basic principles of business?
Well, let me put it to you like this. The one problem that we have as Africans is impatience.
Okay.
The system that we are living in has been built over years. The Afrikaners took 100 years to set themselves up through mindset, through reading, through studying, and through writing books and literature. So I'll give you an example of in my life how I am now where I am. I've got 3 girlfriends that I've been with since I've been here for 16 years. All of these girls that I have left have all started their own businesses. My first girlfriend, she used to work for a bank. I taught her that if she wanted to be independent, she needed to leave the comfort of employment and start her own enterprise. This is a woman who didn't listen. This is a woman who you had to tell things again and again and again. From 2006, I was with her running a clothes shop. She was just that person who does not listen. She is incompetent. You tell her a simple instruction, she does not listen. But I understood that you have to be patient when you are mentoring people.
Yeah.
You have to be patient by understanding the history of where we're coming from, the mindset that we were bred by, the education system that we were bred by, and be patient with people to reiterate. From 2006, I left her in 2012. She still hadn't changed her character. She would not take notes in a meeting. She would not write emails properly. She would use SMS language. But after we broke up, we continued our contact. And I continued to remind her the elements that you need to change. Keeping records, keeping notes. Today, she runs a 22 million rand a year business.
Wow.
A cleaning company and a catering company. The standards of her work, she does catering at functions that happen in Parliament. Do you understand?
But you know,
And this woman comes to me and says to me, if I never had a patient who was patient with me the way you were,
Yes.
the person who took your time to teach me again and again and again and never gets tired, I wouldn't have this business today.
Yes.
You have helped me to liberate my family from poverty. But what was most great about you is you invested your time and patience to ensure that you left me where I am. Right now, I've got a woman who is coming as my partner now with the company that I have. She's been here for 5 years. She is now the director of the company. She's taking it forward. But again with her, I have to be patient. So what we are lacking in our community is the patience of people to groom one another. We don't understand that it's a task. We don't understand that money and time was invested to break our minds. So we need money and time to be invested, patience to be invested to rebuild those minds and to rebuild the ability of people to create value.
So we are headed somewhere now, because now everything is becoming clear that the first issue that is there is patience before we penalize these individuals who have made it. That they are lacking patience, that's the problem that is there. That I'm picking from what you're saying. So there's another aspect, another side that we have to look into. Because sometimes you might not even be aware of what they have also been doing for other people. in the eyes of everyone. And I'll be honest with you without getting into details. Some of them that I know, they've been disappointed several times trying to help other individuals. And they might not tell their story to you like that. But if you go out there and you just check and do your research, or maybe even sit down with them, how many people have you helped? You realize that these individuals have been disappointed. And patience is just saying it depends on an individual. Some of us, we are patient, some of us, we are not. And we can't entirely blame each other for not being that patient, just as you are right now. So one thing that I can pick from what you're saying, and one thing that I appreciate, is that you managed to understand and realize where the problem was with the people that you have assisted, that you needed to be a bit more patient, even though they did not show any interest in developing their lives. But it's you who saw the potential that these people had. Now imagine 56 million people in one country, and how many people will you be answering for, or speaking for, or waiting to hear their concerns from, and being patient with them? So what I'm simply saying is we can cover more ground through imparting knowledge on what one is capable of doing and what they can do. So when you go to people like those people that we're talking about, you're going with a proper proposal. Some of them, they don't even come with a proper business plan. And I believe you're a businessman. You don't just fork out money for a plan that is not really solid. So there are a lot of things, factors that we could look into. But if we want to cover more ground, I agree with you. Let's develop where we are staying, where we are coming from. There's nothing wrong with that. But in so doing, let's look at the bigger picture and say, what is one individual doing or contributing to that development? Because one person can't do it on their own.
My brother, you need to remember one thing that you need to get is this. We are not asking for us to build each other because it's a favor. We are asking each other to build each other because it is a matter of survival and death. Africa is going to get poorer and poorer as the capital continues to mount in European hands and the ability to buy machines to replace human beings. This curve of developing each other through employment and education is going to end. And Africans are only going to become poorer and they're going to be recolonized by very capital intensive organizations and people that have the ability to buy machines. This security industry that we're talking about, very soon it will be obsolete because people won't believe it for security. Drones will be doing security, machines will be doing security, cameras will be doing security, and human beings will no longer be there. Who is going to be able to master and control that industry? It is the one who's got capital and technology. So Africa, to be able to grow that curve, to be able to start industrializing, to build the machines that allow us to compete with these Europeans, we've got to build capacity. That means we have to build and make money for each other. We've got to make sure that we build people with money and capital who can then do research and development to be able to industrialize. We're not doing that. We are busy taking our money and giving it to white people. We're busy giving our money to white businesses. We're busy thinking that developing each other is an option.
But do you realize that you're actually educating people now? What you're doing right now, that's what I'm talking about. To say you're imparting knowledge, but we are looking at the knowledge that we are also imparting to people. How is it going to help one individual? Okay, if I'm to look at the perspective that you're coming from, I don't know how much depth you went into that research. And I wouldn't want to question it because I don't know much about it. But speaking from what I understand, is you want us to develop where we're coming from. Let's say we want to develop Africa and we should invest in Africa. That's fine. But in so doing, these conversations that we're having right now, they should also go an extra mile into reminding each and every person, like Tinashe, that Tinashe, you don't have to wait for someone else to do something for you. Because the moment that you depend and wait for them to do, they might not do, my brother. Even if you say, hey, Mr. Mawere, pump out money, you need to give or invest back. It's a decision of an individual. And Africa will suffer probably just like what you're saying. But if we invest in equipping an individual that they can become the best of themselves and they can become the change that they want to see, things will fall in place automatically.
The notion that Africa will become poorer and poorer, it's a notion that I personally would want to dismiss. What I believe is that individuals who do not take the initiative to cause something to happen in order to better themselves will become poor.
Yes, I fully agree.
And
My brother,
yes,
I want you to be real, huh?
I'm
And I want you to be real in the aspect that
I'm being
we say
real.
Africa will become poorer and poorer. It's not something that is debatable. It is something that is been even recorded by the World Bank that we have become poorer and poorer. And you know why we become poorer and poorer? We become poorer and poorer because back in the days when we got independence, our continent had industries. Our continent had factories where parents used to go and work. Factories are no longer there in Africa. Factories are no longer here in South Africa. South Africa is deindustrializing. Why is it deindustrializing? Because it is unable to compete with the industrial countries like China. This deindustrialization is not going to slow down, it's going to get worse. But ask yourself, if we lose industry, where do the people get the jobs? If we lose industry, if we lose industrialization, where are you going to employ people? Because you will never have a gain of any mass employment without industry.
That's
You will
right.
never be able.
That's why, Richard, at the end of the day, we're having these conversations. These conversations are all about raising awareness and improving literacy on issues that matter. If industries are, like you are saying, that they're being deindustrialized, it's important for people to invest in ideas that can inspire new outcomes and new possibilities. The moment we state that Africa is going to become poor, I think we are actually misleading people. It's individuals who do not want to take the initiative to invest in ideas that can better themselves that will become poor. The individuals that will take time to invest in ideas like what we are doing right now are the individuals that will progress. Those who don't take part will be left out. And it's simple as that.
That's why I'm trying to educate you on how the system works so that we stop writing a theory from a textbook and start realizing what the reality is. The reality is like this. The owners of capital are white, and we should not try to keep running away from this. We should accept it. What do white people want from Africa or the world? White people need resources from Africa. White people need cheap resources that they can be able to put in their factories in Europe and be able to turn it into goods and services. After they've turned it into goods and services, they need a captive market to sell those products where they don't have competition. And that place is Africa.
So you are saying that there is a race problem. That's what you are saying. That blacks should operate as one. Is it that we have to like each other? Do business with each other, love each other. I'm trying to understand what I think you have had experience of 18 years. I think 18 years in the security industry. What have been your experiences from day one? This black-white divide.
I mean, the division is still there between the blacks and the whites, whereby what he is saying on the other thing is that when they are the ones that who brought and who's bringing in technology into our country.
Yeah.
But that has never posed a threat to us.
Yeah.
To say that because they are coming with the technology, then we must stop providing the service that we have been providing. Yes, there might be a decrease in numbers with the new technology, but it's not to say that it will stop completely, that they will end up hitting the machine. Even the machine need a human being to monitor.
A drone can be corrupted by someone using a computer.
Yeah.
In his house.
So those are the things that I agree with you. There will be a decrease, but not to say that there won't be a country that do not need security. That I disagree with you. Country will always need a security.
Because security will always be necessary. I do not say we will never get to a point where we don't totally need security. But let me give you a statistic that we can all relate to.
Yeah.
Poverty levels in South Africa 2 years ago we're sitting at 46%. Just recently, a new survey said that it's now sitting at 50%. So that's a 3 percentage points increase in the poverty in the country. In a country that is continuing to have a GDP that is growing, how does that make sense? How does it make sense that we've got more poorer people in the country when the GDP has been growing?
Because many people choose not to work, they choose to drink and party.
Because the government, let me finish what I was saying. That's South Africa. Then we go down to the border to the next country, Zimbabwe, very hard-working people that have been taught to work and work and work and work and work. The same thing, the poverty levels have increased drastically ever since the 1990s. Why? People are not necessarily lazy, but they don't have jobs. The issue is capital.
No, it's the rule of law, which is an issue.
Yeah, which is a problem.
It's the rule of law, which is an issue in Zimbabwe.
No, how can it be a rule of law?
We've been looking at SMM Rutendo together. And you tell me that capital is flying outside. Why?
Yeah, I mean, there are problems in any country, but let's. I think we're looking at just to share your experiences, because I think what he's telling us is one scenario where I think we are closing now. Just to say, in brief, we have a country with a past divided, and the journey that you have traveled so far, it has not been easy. And sometimes you get the help there, sometimes you don't. Do you see the help or the associations that you have created so far to this day as having been limited or expanded because of diversity, that you're dealing with different people?
Yeah.
Sometimes you get your break from a white person. Sometimes you get your break from a black person. But you can't group all blacks as angels. And you can't group all whites as what? As a devil. Each person comes with their own. And the people who may have disappointed you are the people you least expected that they will turn out to be. Even animals, when things are said and done. So experiences are different. So we want to be able to celebrate experiences, not that we want to repeat them, but we want to move forward to say, okay, we are three people who are talking about whites, but in this conversation, there's no white person. Should we spend our time talking about a person who is not here? Or we should spend our time to say, let's understand what we don't understand, so that we can solve our own individual problems. With that in mind, doesn't mean I can tell you what to do, but it means what you learn from me can be of value to your own life circumstances. The facts are not the same. Jesus is gone. The facts are different, but the lessons are valid today as they were 2017 years ago. Our problem is that we are not telling our stories. We are not sharing our problems. We are not preparing for war in terms of peace. We get into war without preparing for it. If we had prepared for it, then we know who is in our battle formation, who does what, when, how. So, the purpose of this conversation is exactly what you said. Some people can benefit you more with knowledge, which is more than money. When you go to somebody and he gives up time to you, some people may not measure it and think that that is not an investment in you. But when we give up time to share, because there are things that we could have done, but we have given up time to be here. That is the greatest gift that we can give. Because man is like giving fish. Man is like giving you a TP home without money to pay for electricity, without money to pay for water, without money to pay for the bed. All these things come to zero. It's like me building a mansion in a shack-centric environment. My mansion will be worth the same as the next shack because nobody will buy it. So, no, I'm saying these are the lessons that. Yeah, so we need to be able, we can't despise and denigrate everything that is white, as if whites came as a group. Each white person has got his own story, his own promise, his own challenges. And let's understand, not as a white person, as a human being. Yes, yesterday, they may have pretended that we are less than human. But the last 23 years has proved to them that actually we are human. And the only thing is that the capital that we say we don't have, actually we have more of it. Because if I have a contract, I got capital. If the three of us work together, it means we can produce more capital. Because it means we have 6 eyes where I have 2 eyes. But who am I to trust? How many people have died? I was with Tinashe, there's a guy here, an industrialist who was next door. And he started his business in 12 years, white person. And he told us the story of 47 years of hard work. And he built this successful business. And I asked him, if you died today, what would happen to your business? He looked at me, he said, I'm not going to die. 2 weeks later, he was dead. And last month, this month is the last trading month.
Yeah.
It's gone. But he was successful, and a thinker, an inventor. But his story, I think I'll send you just the story of ordinary white people, how they started. No pilots. They had to go to Durban, from this foster to that foster home. But out of all those problems, against all odds, he becomes a multimillionaire.
But Mr. Mawere, when you talk like that, you begin to talk like white people themselves, where they enjoy all this privilege, that they got, from the education they got to the ability to own property, to the ability to conduct business, restrictions that black people had that gave them advantage, that gave them a very big push up, that gave them an advantage that made them who they are today. Somebody who could use slave labor, he could utilize a black person at will without having to pay him the right salary. All advantages that black people do not have today. So we must acknowledge that they have worked hard, but we must also acknowledge the privilege they have. And the reason why people like me say that they are all guilty is none of them ever received the unjust treatment that they received. Yet in our law, unjust treatment is criminal. In our law, unjust treatment is remedied by paying back damages. Our law says that unjust treatment is paid back by taking back what it is that you got as an advantage and giving it to those that you disadvantaged. That hasn't happened in South Africa. So every white person has enjoyed a privilege. They used to give 30 times more of a budget to educate a white child than a black child. This is fact. They used to pay a white person 10 times more for the same job than a black person. Those advantages accumulate to make people accumulate wealth, to make people accumulate capital. Which is the problem when Mandela came into power. We never asked for reparations, we never asked for damages, and this is why we still have a situation where apartheid is still happening economically, and that's why transformation is taking long. That same apartheid happened in Zimbabwe, and Mugabe tried to correct it. The white people took what they ran to South Africa, they ran to England, leaving a capital deficit again, hence the poverty that we are seeing.
Okay, Mkomarjan. Okay, so we're going to give you the shoes of Strive Masiwa, or one of these guys we've been talking about, the likes
Yes.
of Mr. Mawere. Maybe they do not even have an answer to the problems that are there. And you wear their shoes today, and tell me what would be the immediate action that they should take to solve this problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of what I'm discussing on my page now.
Yeah.
We've been discussing EcoNet for the past 2 days. And
Okay.
Kwese. And our issue has been Stripe has done well. And because Stripe has done well, there are a number of things that we feel he should have done to be able to, like you're saying, what's the solution?
Yeah.
Number one, he should have had his head office in Zimbabwe. Number two, he should be saving his money in Zimbabwe. Number three, he should be having as many Zimbabwean shareholders or African shareholders as possible so that dividends continue to be paid and left in Zimbabwe or at least left in Africa. Number three, he should have an apprenticeship program or some form of training center and research facility in Zimbabwe where all the ethics that are being earned and the profits that are being are utilized to create institutions and research facilities to research and develop new products and innovations, and get those Europeans who are in Europe to come to work in Africa, to employ them here, so that they can impart their skills to young black Zimbabweans and young Africans on how to produce some of that.
But you are saying that you are saying, I think you are saying that the word should. If I make my money and decide to go to Mauritius, what harm do I cause you? If let's say I operate in Zimbabwe, I give you airtime, you pay me. What else do I owe you? Huh?
Can I
Do
answer?
I owe you an explanation?
Can I answer?
Yeah?
Can I answer?
Yeah, okay.
There's nothing unique about Stripe that they gave Zimbabwe bringing us a cellular network. Anybody would have given us a cellular network.
But it doesn't owe you anything.
The favor was not Stripe giving us a cellular network.
Yeah.
The favor was Stripe giving an opportunity among millions of other people.
It's not an opportunity, it's a case. Business is a case. Returned of.
When the cellular license put out,
Yeah.
it was in number one, what put out. And when the people that went and bid for those cellular licenses, they were picked by favor. They were never given, because they never put those gazetted in the newspaper. So they were already given favor and preference. Right? That preference in its own respect to be able to bid for the license to write money.
But do you agree? Do you agree that there were 2 licenses, 3 licenses granted?
Yes.
Okay. Do you agree that one of the licenses was granted to a company in which government is a shareholder?
Yes.
Do you agree the other was granted to a company in which indigenous people as a consortium were involved?
Yes.
Do you agree that EcoNet was granted the license but was not given any capital? So if we look at the journey from day one of license granting to 2017, it so happened that Stripe or EcoNet, we can't say a Stripe, EcoNet is number 1. But the people who have made EcoNet number 1 are the individual customers who bought data and minutes, and they bought minutes like anybody else. And if I make money, I give you security, and you charge me X amount, and you get your security, and I get my money. Do I need to explain to anybody, including Lutendo, how or where the money should go?
Now can I answer? Because you keep interrupting me, so I don't know if you want me to answer or you want me to just listen to you.
No. You can answer because
and so let me answer and finish, or when I'm making my point, interrupt me again.
okay. I'm sorry. This is the African way of talking.
Okay. All right. Right. So, like I said, the opportunity to give out these licenses, the people that were given the opportunity to bid for these licenses were very blessed people.
Okay.
They were blessed people in a dispensation where it will never happen again for another cellular network license probably to be offered in Zimbabwe for the near foreseeable future. So these men, women were given the ability to contest, were given the ability to contest for an opportunity to prosper and become filthy.
Okay.
And this license was given out to these limited people. A person was taken from there. And we must remember that he was not just taken from the Econet opportunity only. He had already been groomed and given business opportunities previously by people that were in government who were the same people that had asked him to come in.
Okay.
So now he gets this opportunity. He gets this privilege, and then he takes the privilege. And automatically you're holding onto a license for a cellular network. The first, a new product, an innovation that is going to come into a new market, diffusing a new product into a new market, it's automatically going to make money. So you're going to get backers, you're going to get financiers, you're going to even get technical people who want to partner you. Because you as this Zimbabwean have got this piece of gold, this license that we couldn't get on our own. So you're always going to have people that want to partner you and that we can make money with you.
Okay.
So you've been now given another opportunity to make money where you didn't have money because you've been given an opportunity that makes money. When you start operating in this market with this given privilege, you automatically inherit a responsibility to deliver service to these people. But because you got an opportunity, because you were a Zimbabwean, your government was able to give you this license for your Zimbabweanness, and for you being part of the chosen few, you have also the responsibility to pay back that very same country for giving you the privilege that millions of other people would have wanted, and millions of other people would have obviously executed just as well as yourself. Not only are you now in the position you're in because you are lucky, but because government favored you. Government gave you an opportunity, a national opportunity to enrich yourself. You must now deliver the mandate of providing a service. But you must also now deliver benefits for this privilege that you got to the nation that gave you that privilege. What are the benefits that we need from a person that exists as a national favored person? We need that person to create jobs. But we don't just need jobs. We need the progression of a company from just providing services to industrialization as it makes more money, as it makes more profits, wants to do research and development, to develop skills in the country, and to grow itself up the vertical, value chain, from just being a dispenser of cellular technology to manufacturing some of the components, to manufacturing some of the things that we need in the economy, so that we improve from just being people who are importing technology from the West and putting it upon our people. We improve from just taking out foreign currency to buy masks, to buy technology from overseas, but we substitute some of those technologies. Why do we want you to do it? Because you're making millions. Those millions must be reinvested back into the country to improve the country, to improve everybody's life, rather than just making them. Because if we don't do that, you are similar to a man who comes into my house, digs a borehole in my house. After digging a borehole in my house, you put a pipe around that borehole, and you pipe that water to your house 10 houses away. And then you say you've invested in me. You haven't invested in me. You are simply making money and digging the borehole was the cost of making money.
Okay, Mkomakten, I think you were answering my question there, isn't it? So,
yeah, so let me correct the question. Your answer.
Okay.
So I said, number one, I would expect him to put his headquarters in the country.
Okay.
So that the skills that we need to be able to run this organization will be invested in the country.
All right.
The training of those skills will be done in the country.
Okay.
When we import labor from overseas, when we import skilled people from Finland, from France, they mustn't work in France for Econet. They must come and work in Zimbabwe. We give them good salaries, we give them good packages, but in the process, they must diffuse their knowledge and skills into Zimbabwe so that Zimbabwe can become better.
So we open an academy.
Hold on, let me finish. So then we want, as you said, where we're going to start having people brought again from those Finlands and so forth to do research and development for improving cellular technology. For having Zimbabwe participating and becoming innovative in that cellular network space. We want it to bank in the country so that our base has got capital.
Okay.
And we want them to invest in the country so that they can invest in the stock market, in upcoming businesses in the value chain, and reinvest their money into developing new businesses and so forth in the country. Right now, that's not happening because the money goes out of Zimbabwe.
Can I maybe just, I've heard your side, and I think you make a point, which point I think many communists make, naively thinking they understand what they're talking about. But the communists don't understand the basic principles of commerce.
How is this communism?
Now I'm saying communists think that the country exists and it must tell me what to do with property that I've gained out of commerce.
But remember, you said,
can I finish? Can I?
No, hold on, you made an assumption. You're insulting me in the process. So let us deal with that very quickly. We never said that the principle is about telling people what to do. I was asked, what do you think? If you were scribe, what would you do? What would you do?
No, in fact, I was saying, I'm not saying you are the problem. I think you are advancing an alternative argument, which is in the
Yeah, but then why the insult?
No, I'm saying communists.
Communists are stupid. Communists.
Communists.
Why is that?
Why I'm saying communism? Because communism is founded on a false idea of what wealth is. Because communists think that when you engage in commercial activities in a certain country, the country must have a say in what happens to your harvest. And all I'm saying is that idea has killed many people, and have led people to swim across to other countries, even to run away from them. I'm not saying that's your argument, because I don't believe you as a businessman would have that argument, and you advance that argument. Because the import of your argument is to tell a person like Philip that whatever you've worked hard for, somebody tells you must have a head office in Rustenburg instead of Johannesburg. If I was to come with that conversation, what would you say to me?
One fundamental thing. The fundamental thing you're missing is that these are not people who created their own opportunities. These are people who were partially assisted by favor to be in the position that we are. That's why I stated the issue you Strive. Strive's opportunity was not let out to everybody and anybody.
No, in fact, you are making a very big point, which says that life is a favor, it's grace granted by human being.
Let me finish my point. Okay, let me finish my point. So because you are favored, and because this favor has got a point of origin, it is critical for us to stop saying what I must do with my wealth, forgetting that you were graced. And because you were graced, it's no longer just your wealth. It is a commonwealth that leaves you with a responsibility to return the grace. Okay? Now, we are not forced to return the grace. So this is why Strive, there's no indictment on Strive.
Imagine I give Philip a purchase order. Then somebody comes to you and he says grace. I'll say amazing grace, the song is good enough. But you've just given me more headaches. Because I have to find fuel. I have to find uniforms. I have to find the means to deliver the promise. If I don't deliver the promise, a license is not a guarantee that the service will be delivered at a cost that is below what you're collecting. So we should give credit where credit is due. We cannot diminish Strive's contribution in making this what it is. What if he decides to go to the moon with the harvest? As long as the people who got the service or product are not the ones that are complaining. Because if they were complaining, they would have stopped using the phone. If we decided not to use the phone, whether I have a license to charge me or not, I will not pay for that. But the people who use their phones must pay for the service they get. Simple. And if I take security, whether I get a license or purchase order, I must not rely, and somebody says it's a favor. And I hope, Rutendo, when you harvest your company, when you tell me your results, I'll come to your office for dividends. And I rock up and say, Rutendo, you are a good man. Somebody gave you a contract because you're black. So can we participate in the distribution of the harvest? You know what one person once said to me, Rutendo? He said, Abalatsu and Deake.
The discussion we're having about the responsibilities of business people,
Yeah.
the responsibilities of Africans to develop their own,
Yeah.
to develop their own countries, to develop their own homes. It's not optional. It is survival. Now I understand that you currently don't understand what I'm going on.
Okay.
What a lot of Africans need to understand is we can make all excuses and come up with all justifications like the ones you're coming up with.
Okay.
But when the time comes, and if the West was to say we're going to go and kill every African and get rid of them, we would never have a defense because we've never built a defense. We are still as useless and as harmless and as incapable of defending ourselves as we were when the very first white men met the first barbarian on the shores of Africa. Because we haven't built ourselves up. We have not developed technologically. We have not developed industrially. We can't even protect ourselves with our own weapons because everything that we use to protect ourselves comes from somebody else. The fact that we've got a business community that does not understand the problem. Right now you're sitting with somebody in the security industry. But the guns that they use in the security industry, they're not there. They don't manufacture them.
You need the gun to
They're all.
Have you ever seen a black gun? A black gun produced by black people. What does it look like? You need a gun that kills.
Yes. We even had a situation here in South Africa where we've got a security crisis that these very same police officers and military here are outgunned by the Afrikaners in this country. But there's no discussion about that because the African doesn't think about national interest. They still think that the world is changed because of white benevolence. They don't understand that everything is still the same. Iraqis were attacked by the Americans to show them that we're still back in 1800s. Now, we need people with vision, focus, enough in our business community and our government system to understand that we've got to develop ourselves to the capacity to be able to protect ourselves. We've got to develop technologies, but those technologies are not going to come from anywhere but the very same private sector players that we've empowered to become businessmen. They must reinvest, but they shouldn't be forced. They should be smart enough to understand that, like the Rockefeller was smart enough, like Carnegie was smart enough, like all the American Albertsons that were built together with Raytheons. They were built by men and women who knew that we must.
Okay, just in rounding up. Okay, I've heard what you're saying, and I'm glad that you're advocating for a better life for everyone, which is good, very noble of you to contribute. And I'm sure a lot of people who are in difficult situations would subscribe to that idea. And but what we are saying, it's not like we are too further apart. but it's just that the concepts tend to differ just a little bit. Because what we're simply saying is, instead of giving someone a fish, why not teach them how to fish? And not only talking about these few individuals, the strives.
But before you go on, you keep talking to me about fish. Where did I ever say I want to be given a fish, or I'm advocating being given a fish?
Oh, okay.
Where I said that.
Okay, you didn't say that.
So why do you keep telling me about that? It's
Okay.
not the first day you tell me about it. Every day you talk to me about not wanting to give people a fish, as if my philosophy is about giving things for free.
Okay, what I mean by that. Okay, what I mean by a fish, it's not literal. To say that
giving things for free to people, giving handouts.
Right.
The impression that I'm advocating handouts.
Okay, I didn't say you're advocating for handouts, but I said you're advocating for a better future for everyone.
But you keep giving me the example of the handout. Why?
Okay, let me answer why I say that. Okay, from where I'm coming from, whenever we hear people talking in the social medias, they're saying that people the government is not providing employment for us, which is one, right? And then they say that business people, they are selfish, they're not giving us capital to start our own businesses, which is two. So what I'm saying is might not be directed to you per se, but it's directed to what the general public is saying and perspective towards building their lives and building a better future for themselves. So what I'm simply saying is that
now before you go on,
okay.
Are we talking about building a better life for each person, or are we talking about building a better life for the collective, for the protection of the very same people that are in line? Because that's what I'm talking about. To say, Mr. Mawere today, for his own security, for his own existence tomorrow, for the protection of his own wealth, if he doesn't want to end up like a Mawere who was in Iraq, or a Mawere who was in Iraq, in Libya, we've got to get to a point where the collective builds itself up. We advance ourselves up as a collective, so much so that we can't become sitting ducks for our wealth to be wilted away and destroyed by somebody who comes because we can't protect ourselves.
Okay.
It's no longer about individuals. It is about us as a people understanding that we've got to advance ourselves through whatever means we've got, and that means currency that we have is the capital that is being held by those.
I think for today, Rutendo, I think we have had quite a conversation. Let's take it up again tomorrow. But let's stick to time and also, more importantly, to the issue that we need to drive towards to, so that people don't also get lost in this conversation that we're having. So I think maybe Mr. Mawere or
Yeah, I think we can maybe just in summary. I think we are getting somewhere in the sense that you are raising, I think, a point of view which is in the majority, and it's a popular view. So it's not something that we can ignore. So thank you very much, I think, for keep focusing on the point. And when I was referring to communism, it is not something that I'm saying you are, but sometimes you have a clash. I can call it a clash of civilization. And I know you don't like the word, but there is a different way of looking at life. Some people look at life itself as grace. Some people who may be murderers say, but if I didn't kill you, you would not have made a million. Therefore, the million belongs to us. Some people get elected into government. Then they also become glorified thieves who are saying, whatever you've made, I also want to have part of it. Then equally there are citizens who also believe that they are entitled to share the proceeds of commerce. Not only that, to tell you, even in family situations, they say, but why did you buy a new car? When the same car could have bought a house. So these conflicts are human conflicts. Sometimes they manifest themselves when someone dies. All of a sudden you discover other people become ambassadors for your sweat. And they actually have a say. The choices that you made, they say it's all wrong. You should have put your money in farming because the inflation is bigger. One cattle can produce more cattle. So the differences must be celebrated, but it's a conversation that we have. But if I go to somebody who has worked hard for what they have in form of property, in form of health bank balances, I then say to them, give up or spend it this way or that way. I'm not sure how that war would be won or lost. But all I can say is the consequence of it will be no one will be in business. The moment we go beyond a transaction, we should be complete and prescribe how it is that the process of commerce must be spent. We have lost it somewhere. And all I can say is, I would not want to be part of a country or part of a civilization where this becomes a conversation, where somebody tells me my headquarters must not be in Mauritius, must be located in Johannesburg, because they feel that everything that I have, I owe it to some character, whether educated, uneducated, whether big or small. And if I have to enter that conversation, I would have not only difficulty, but if there was another amendment to the Constitution, it will allow me to bear arms, to shoot that person. On the moment he says, why is your head office not where I have no need for? Or why are you living in this suburb instead of a township? The moment that conversation exists, it must be a sad day for me. I don't know whether you want to sum up.
I would only sum up and say, as long as Africa has got people thinking the way we are discussing here, we will never develop. That's all I can say. Because if we don't understand how the world works yet, if we don't understand that other countries have got human beings who believe that they have responsibility, they have accountability to their nations, they have accountability for the education they received. You have a situation where we've got subsidized education, subsidized healthcare in Zimbabwe. Our Zimbabwean government invested in each and every one of us. You ask yourself, why did they invest in us if they didn't expect a return from us? They put money in our education, they put money in our healthcare, they subsidize our roads, everything, to ensure that we'll be citizens who can give back to Zimbabwe. Then you get somebody who happens to then become a businessman in that very same Zimbabwe. He then begins to produce these fruits of the investments that the government was giving, creating businesses. Then that person all of a sudden feels they don't have an obligation. Then why was the government investing in you? Why was the government putting free money in you? Why should you not have an obligation to the nation, but the whole nation has an obligation to lift you up, to educate you, to give you health care? The nation shouldn't worry about sending their children to school. They shouldn't worry about giving health care. Whoever gets educated at home, educated at home.
I think we are going to have another debate, which is, let's have a battle of ideas on the role of the state or government.
Okay.
Yeah, then let's also do another debate on this issue, the choice, freedom, liberty. That absent liberty, what remains?
Because for me,
No,
a nation must be defined first of all. isn't it the sum total of the value
In fact,
and reliability of the citizen?
in fact, you have raised the other issue. Let's list it. What is the state?
Okay.
That's another subject, so that we have a structured conversation, and then we deal with one issue at a time, so that we start. I think that's what Tinashe, as the young guy, is struggling with, to say, guys, can you help me so that we don't become black in our conversation? We focus what we want to achieve. We want to elevate this conversation so that it can assist somebody who may be in government, who thinks the private sector owes them. Imagine somebody says, I gave you a contract, give me 1 million. And yet they are paid to do precisely that. Then there must be a discussion outside the contract, because I may pay out of fear of losing the
And
contract.
that person doesn't deserve anything from you because you are paying him a salary to do a job. His job is to serve the state, and his job is to be your employee and my employee and his own employee.
No, but
No right to
the reality of the situation is, I am afraid I'm on my own. I have bills to pay. I cannot afford to walk away. These are real issues that are faced by the private sector. So let's deal with them in a comprehensive way, so that we don't have this misunderstanding that corruption is something that is foreign. It's inherent in all of us. There are people who say, like you are proposing a state corruption. You know what he's saying? When you push it together, that I gave you something, so bribe me with the head office.
But you're now misconstruing what I said. Because what I'm saying is clear.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is a number of things that are simple. One, the state is Mawere and people and all the others above us. We constitute the state. Number
But
two,
the mosquitoes in government, the mosquitoes in government are not the state.
Let me
Okay.
clarify my fact, because you are now starting to distort it. So I don't want it distorted. Let me put my facts on the table.
Okay.
And then you take it from there.
All right.
So we are the state. We constitute the nation. Right? So that's why we pay taxes, that's why we contribute with our sweat, that's why we contribute with any other means of production we have. So we are the state. And then that state takes those common monies that we pay as our taxes, they take us to school, they give us healthcare, they give us roads, they invest in us, yet we haven't done anything to deserve that investment. Why? Because they want us to produce in future, so they're equipping us to produce in future for who? For the nation. Then there's another level where that nation can then select individuals into a business environment to give them business opportunity. And national business opportunity, where they could say, listen, we're not going to give Econet this business, we're going to ask for a cooperative to be created. That cooperative is going to bring up money, we're going to sponsor it, and that cooperative is going to create a cellular network, and off that cooperative, we're going to employ people, and then we're going to run our cellular network. We could have done that, it's an option, but no, we chose to take an individual. Why is this individual? Because he's a part of the state, he's a part of this country, he's a part of what we have been investing in, entrepreneurs that are going to become rich, that are going to create jobs, that are going to create opportunity for the nation to grow. So for me, that request that you, National, put your head office here as part and parcel of why we invested in you, why we put education, why we get our taxpayers' money to.
But who studied for the exam? Who wrote the exam?
What do you mean who wrote the exam?
When you talk about education, being educated, who wrote the exam?
Without education?
But if I didn't write the exam,
Would you even know about an exam without education?
I'm saying at the end of the day, you say one was given education, right? But isn't it the individual that studies and writes the exam?
Individuals don't study and write exams, they get educated to write and study and write exams.
But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, the individual, though they get the education, they still need to study and write the exam. It's not the government that gives them that certificate for them to be considered educated.
This is why I keep asking you, is it the writing of the exam that got you to be where you are or that gives you the qualification, or is it the education that gives you the qualification?
But I'm tested. Am I not tested at the end of the day?
But the test is what, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours.
And that is exactly what determines that I've been what? I've been educated.
No.
That's your profit.
There are many people who are prosperous and successful because of what they learned in classroom.
But the profit,
Never passing an exam.
profit is a test, is
Who
it?
don't have qualifications.
Isn't profit a test?
There are a lot of people who don't have qualifications who are rich today.
But
There are
isn't
people who don't have qualifications but they are in industries for which they don't have.
But isn't profit a test?
What isn't what?
Profit, isn't it a test?
No, it's not a test.
Yeah, and some people fail and get a loss.
It's not a test.
No, isn't it? You have to write the exam. Huh? If you don't pass the exam, the business fails.
Losses are not failures.
Yes, failure.
No.
You have failed to what?
No.
To reduce your cost.
How train is continuing to run even though it's not profitable.
No, I'm saying is, but a test is the market. If there's no market, you fail. So we are saying that let's look at all these issues. I think you raised a lot of issues, and with the passion that we require in our normal debate, because we have a lot of people in government and also in the private sector who don't understand these basic principles. And when we look at it, what is a test, what is not, what is profit, what is not, what is cash flow, and what it is not, let's embrace this so that we help other business people to overcome these challenges that we often take for granted. So I applaud you for the time, the tenacity to fight for what you believe in. But also, let's celebrate this ability to get ideas battle each other. And if I insulted you, I'm sorry, because it's not meant to insult you, but it's meant to actually ignite, because I was trying to raise a communist versus capitalist, maybe in bad taste. But actually, the issues that you are raising are old, they are not new. But you are giving them a life and a vigor that we need to be able to respond to. So I think we can leave it for tomorrow on the basis that we have a lot of work to do to understand what business is and what the obligations of business is, what the social responsibility of business should be, and what the character of business should be, what the personality of business should be, because we are all confronted with this, not by government only, by our even friends. When you make choices, they also think they have a right to critique the choices you make. You get it in households where husband and wife fight over the personality of the household. Who is who? Who contributes what? But the truth never lies. The facts will always show. Because if, in as much as I may not like my husband or my wife, but if she brings the goodies, I have to love that person. I have to worship that person. So these are normal relationship issues that come from a different understanding of the same product. So how do we negotiate better so that we can bring peace in families? Imagine somebody dies today. How many people will claim credit for everything that you've worked for? And those people in life, they were never party to or even a witness to anything. But still they believe they have a right because they're related to you.
But Mr. Mawere, we must also stop the hypocrisy of this consistent theory that capitalism is this self-sustaining, fair, market-driven animal. Because right now we're in the situation in the United States with the credit crunch. Men made bad decisions, bad investment decisions, And
after making those bad business decisions, instead of being allowed and punished in the markets by the failure of those banks, by the failure of those institutions, those very same institutions that go around telling people that it's nobody's business to tell us as business where to invest or to put our headquarters, went back to the American government and asked the American government to penalize the taxpayer and pay up to $3 trillion for their bailout. Now, that's the hypocrisy that we always talk about.
And on that, Luchendo,
Same as a businessman saying that my friends want to tell me how to live. But yet, when you were struggling, when you were going to court against government, there were people who were bankrolling you. There were people who were buying your shirts and underwear. There were people who were buying your white campers. But now that you've got money, you think that your friends are interfering, but the very same friends are the ones that used to know your woman's tampon size. Do you understand?
And on that note, Luchendo, I think we've come to today's show, to the end of today's show, and let's like Mr. Mawere alluded just earlier. Let's take it up tomorrow. Then we can continue with this conversation of equipping individuals, and more importantly, also us as the individuals, sharing our insights and personal experiences so that we can inspire new thinking amongst individuals. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, and Mr. Mawere and Mr. Prince, Mr. Philip. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate your contributions. And to our viewers, thank you for making the 1873 TV your channel of choice. Be sure to catch us tomorrow on the Continental Sunrise Breakfast Show. That is on the 1873 FM, where we're live streaming on www.the1873fm.com, as well as live streaming on Zimbabwe Today Facebook page and the 1873 FM Facebook page. We continue with the conversation running under the theme, The Future I Want, looking at the individuals who made a difference as far as we look at women who are trailblazers and trying to better understand the true nature of power. So between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m., you too can add your voice to the conversation that we'll be having simply by commenting on the social media platforms that I have mentioned. Thank you once again, and have enjoyed the rest of your evening. Good